Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming watch. So I've got you guys a mini update here on Winter Storm Amber that is currently moving through the Northeastern United States. We saw some big impacts last night that continued through the night into this morning, and we're still dealing with that heavy snowfall in some areas, and some areas have switched over to rain, including me. I've posted a few videos on what's been going on at my in my town, and we actually did have a few hours of very heavy snowfall that was wet snow, but that changed over to rainfall. But just looking at our current radar, you can see that we're dealing with the snowfall kind of in a wavy pattern there. We can see it's moving to the east, but a lot of this cold air is diving down back into the system here, and that could change a lot of that snow over back to rainfall. So these areas that are dealing with rain this morning right now, all right, I think these areas are going to start to switch back to snow, and it could be heavy snow for a little bit because look at all this moderate to heavy snowfall nearby. Um, but yes, this is still a very impactful system, and I did not mention this, but this was named. I don't know when, but this was named. So we are calling it Winter Storm Amber. All right. But you could see Rhode Island and New Hampshire and Rhode Island are all seeing Vermont and New Hampshire are all seeing uh, some very heavy snow from the system. We're actually dealing with snow farther north than I anticipated. We're actually seeing very heavy snow in the Montreal area. All right, notice that. Boston right now is hanging on to snow for dear life, but some of that rain is entering the city, so it's going to be very close there. But we still have that upper level low on the backside here that's bringing all that energy uh, forward here, and that's going to bring more precipitation into the interior Northeast, and we'll see if that can make it all the way to the coastline. So, taking a look here at our alerts for the system, things have changed a little bit. Winter storm warnings have been have expired. All right, for areas down into the Mid Atlantic. But if you go into New England and the rest of the Northeast, you still have winter storm warnings for northern Connecticut, northern Rhode Island, into central and western Mass, southern Vermont, and southern New Hampshire, southern Maine, and then all the way up into upstate New York, the Finger Lakes region. That's where we have winter storm warnings. You've got winter storm warnings also going out for areas into northeastern PA. All right, in this purple shade, you've got winter weather advisories going out for surrounding areas of that winter storm warning. They have not made it to New York City yet, but they're very close. And I do think we will see some wintry conditions out there. But going out for the southern New England coast, then up towards the coast of Maine, and then Vermont, New Hampshire, and then in upstate New York, you've got two counties. All right, but this is something that's actually it's been pretty interesting that I've seen. We actually do have high wind watches that are going out for areas up here into upstate New York. This is going out for areas that are right by the Great Lakes. All right. There have been some very gusty winds out here, and we can actually see you've got wind advisories also going out for areas near Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket. All right, I'll tell you guys, it was very windy last night. I almost felt like making a video. We actually did have some scattered power outages across New England. We'll talk about that. All right, but yes, this entire area is still feeling the big impacts from the system, and it's still just not quite over yet. So moving on to our power outage map, I just wanted to show you guys this because we are dealing with some power outages out here. So just focus in on the Northeast for now. I'll move myself so you guys can see. All right. So look at this. You got Massachusetts second in the United States right now with power outages. Right now we're at about 12,000 and 134 customers without power. All right, there are some counties up towards Boston that are actually dealing with some more scattered power outages, so definitely be watchful of that. New York doesn't really have much going on. Vermont, wow, one customer out in Vermont, so that's great to hear. All right, and it looks like the only one that's really struggling with power outages is Massachusetts. Everybody else looks pretty good. Pennsylvania's got a little bit hanging around 4,000 people without power. New Jersey doing fine as well. So yeah, it's really Massachusetts that's dealing with the power outages. We'll look at what counties: Middlesex and Worcester or Worcester. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. All right, here's Essex County. We've got 2,209 people without power, but Middlesex County is the leading county with power outages, hanging around 7,700. All right, so moving on to the Northeastern U.S. on your NAM 3 kilometer model. We want to look at what's going to be happening with the rest of the system. So here's your low. It's at this point, it's off the coast of Long Island and southern New England. So that's just going to be pulling out. But that means that cold air is going to be able to spill into this region, and these areas could turn over to rainfall. So looking at what's going to be this was happening 9 a.m. We have snow that's entering New York City, Long Island, but southern New England dealing with snow. And so all the rain is just basically getting pushed off the coast as the backside snow moves in. And by 11 a.m. This is Eastern time, guys, we have heavy, moderate to heavy snowfall impacting really everybody in the northeastern United States, even on the areas on the coastline. But, you know, this could definitely bring a few more inches of snow to areas that did see a lot of snow and even areas that didn't. I didn't even see really half an inch of snow yesterday. I think that areas in New York City or Long Island could still pick up, an inch or two of snow from this little backside energy. But there are two bands of snow that I'm watching there that are going to roll right through the midsection of the Northeast here. This is going to be going up from, way up there in upstate New York, all the way down through Connecticut, and then we've got another heavy band in the Boston area. I think these two bands are really going to be the last hurrah for people that saw a lot of snow from the system already, and that's going to drop a few more inches, I'm pretty sure. All right, but I don't know what's going on here in the GFS, but either this is a outburst of very heavy snowfall, or we see just a little bit of freezing rain and sleet in there showing up just off the coast of Boston. But Boston, right at this point, this is 1 p.m. today, around lunchtime, Boston will be in a period of extremely heavy snowfall. And then on the backside, we still see that snowfall continue. So Boston, it's going to be like a second round of this. It stopped snowing in Boston for a little bit. It's going to start snowing again very quickly, and it's going to get very heavy. All right. But snow will begin to exit New York City and Long Island by 2 p.m. today. And then when does the snow stop? Well, by 9 p.m. tonight, we should be done with it. Some leftover piece of energy around, but very weak. All right. But yeah, I think that Boston is probably going to get hit the hardest by this next band of snow that's going to set up with the system, and then that moves on out. All right. So taking a look here at your current projected snowfall totals, remember that there are a lot of areas out here that already have multiple inches of snow on the ground. These are your totals that you can add to what you've seen already. So we'll start out here in Boston. Boston going for 6 inches of snow. So if you have, I think somebody reported 8 inches of snow in Boston. All right, so adding 6 inches of snow to Boston, you're dealing with 2 inches over a foot, 14 inches of snow. So big time snowfall totals in this area. And then even really along the coastline. Sorry, I did not mean to go out that far. Even areas near Boston could be dealing with 5-6 inches of snow. But look at this, back into Vermont here, or New Hampshire. It looks like Vermont, 9 inches of snow. So that is pretty crazy to see that. So let's say you've got 5-6 inches of snow, and you add 9 to that. All right, you're talking about 14, maybe 15 inches of snow. So maybe southern Vermont that could be dealing with the heavy snow. Same thing for New Hampshire, though. We actually do see similar totals, but just a few inches under. Upstate New York still going for, I would say 2 to 4 inches. Some areas that are off to the west would see less. But if you're over towards Vermont, you could still see, up to 6 inches of snow. And then down through southern New York, we still see 1 to 2 inches. I think the city could pick up an inch or two of snow. Same thing for anybody in Long Island. We can actually see 2 inches showing up for somebody in eastern Long Island. All right, but southern New England, we could be talking about, 2 to 4 inches. Areas on the coast seeing a little bit less. All right, and then for the interior Northeast, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm going out that far, but into northern New Jersey, about an inch or so. Areas into the interior Northeast, some mountain snow possible on the backside into West Virginia, and then into southern Pennsylvania, and then into Ohio and the areas along the Great Lakes here, up into PA, and then eventually to upstate New York. We could see those areas may see an inch or two more of snowfall. because of that upper level low that's going to try to sweep through and phase with the system. All right. So finally, we look at our wind gusts here. We saw those high wind watches and advisories. No high wind warnings yet, but I think it's not out of the picture that we'll see high wind warnings. All right, but none so far. And we can see the strongest wind gusts are right now in the Boston area and along the coast of Massachusetts, where we have 30 to 40-mile-per-hour gusts. But that is moving out. And by this afternoon, we'll see more strong gusts up to 30 miles per hour move through southern New England. All right, but that'll be it, and we'll be left with mostly calm conditions by tomorrow. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe out there with the system. I'll keep you guys posted on what we see out here, and I'll see you guys in the next